keep California cowgirls from vanishing.
Welcome to the Urban Cowgirl Show, training our horses and miniature cows in ranch versatility. Penning Rusty and Susie, our bull and heifer. Roping Rusty with Morgan horse Semi. Training Eve to drive cart. Training Eve to work over her haunches with a motor cow simulator. Training Eve to lay down. Training Eve to harness, pull a log. Training Semi to harness, pull a log on turf. Jumping at liberty to music, making our Morgan horses our partners. Training Eve on a cow roping simulator. Training on our driveway, which is covered by sand, so we have a straight track. Stepping over poles, jumping over crossbar jumps. Training in our trail obstacles area. Semi on the big steps. Morgan horse Sadie doing obstacles rainlessly. Semi drives a cart. Sadie pulls a log. Sadie learns to pull a cart. Miniature Zebu heifer Susie learns to drive a cart. Bull Rusty learns to pull a harrow. Now that mini Zebu heifer Sela is almost weaned from her mother Susie, we again begin cow work practice using our mini Zebus for our ranch versatile Morgan horses.
Zebu heifer Susie, who's been a mommy for about 7-8 months, and baby Sela is now almost weaned, so we're starting to do cow work again. Give my Morgan horses an opportunity to practice cow work here on this 5-acre urban rural Minmore Farms ranch. We don't have enough space, enough acreage for large cows, but we do get everything we want done with our small mini cows. Mini Zebu heifer Susie, right here. She is totally trained. We can use her for work, for cart, for saddle, and it's easy to halter her up. Now I'm going to take the halter off. We're just going to give you an idea what we're going to try to do with Morgan horse Semi. And we haven't done this in quite a while because Susie has been nursing her baby Sela. So this is just an introduction to Semi, and Susie to Semi, and you to all of us doing cow work here at Minmore Farms. Now, besides being ranch versatile here, we also like to have fun. So our aim is to work with Susie and then with Sela and maybe with Rusty if he behaves himself. That's my bull. Back here in this wide open space, we have a little pen right here that we've made with portable panels. And we're going to try to pen our mini cows in our mini pen. Okay, we brought the camera out here so that you can see every nook and cranny in our workspace here. We're going to show you what we are very concerned about at this point in our training because it's been so long since we've done this. Gina's going to do a hind end disengagement with Semi. And that means she's going to move that hip over in a direction that she's asking Semi to move that hip. And that's for safety reasons. Go ahead, Gina.
All right, so I'm going to move her hind end to the left.
Okay.
So I'm going to use my right and just raise it and push my right leg back.
And then even look to your right, behind.
My right.
That's it. That helps. Do you see how the back legs are crossing over? That takes the power away from the horse. It gives you an opportunity to get the horse's focus. And if a horse were to be too close to something or be kicky, it takes away the ability to kick. Okay, so we call that the hind end disengagement. We practice it all the time. Now here comes Susie. And the reason I say here she comes is I have this arm extension. I'm going to move her away from that fence by walking into her rib area. You see, she's standing by the fence because Rusty and Seela are on the other side of the fence. We have a lot of cross fences here, so we can do this kind of thing. Now I'm going to move up to Susie. As soon as she starts moving, I stop moving. Good. We're going to get some faster moving going here in the future, but for today, we just want to give Semi an idea that she's going to be working a real cow. I'm going to turn Susie. I'm going to walk towards her head. Yeah. I'm going to keep going. Yeah. See, she wants to come back here. Yeah. As soon as Susie starts moving, I back off. Now she wants to come back. Let's see is she moving over her haunches herself?
Kind of.
Kind of, okay.
I mean, she's responding really well. Like she's...
Yeah. Now I'm going to get some movement here. I'm going to ask her to go forward. Yeah. Arm extension, just waving it. Yeah. Now let's see if they can watch each other. This is a much more practical exercise than trying to do this in a sanded arena.
Yeah.
Almost. Okay. That's okay, Gina. I like what we just did. You saw that Susie was heading for the pen. And then she made a sharp turn. And Sammy is going to ultimately realize that her job is to get Susie, Seela, and or Rusty in the pen. And we'll have 2 or 3 cows out here. So they'll want to stick together. And Sammy's, here comes Susie. Here she comes. But she's standing where Rusty and Seela are. That's good. That's all I wanted to do today. She went with you. Okay, now we've taken Sammy back to the barn. We're going to let Susie join Seela and Rusty by just opening this gate. And there's Mr. Rusty, the papa. Okay, here's the whole family, the whole herd. Here's Seela in the front, Susie next to her, and Mr. Papa Rusty. And we're going to let them in their cow pen for the night. And we'll be showing you some advanced cow work as the summer goes on. We use a garbage can lid if Rusty's being hormonal and Ryan has one in his hand. It's like a Roman shield. And I've shown you how we use that as a training aid many, many times on our mini Zebu show that's in the Urban Cowgirl Show and channel. Eve is a turnback horse in future cow work lessons this summer. And we've got Rusty here on the other side of the fence. He's my Zebu bull. And we're going to be bringing Eve out eventually into this open space where we worked Semi and Susie yesterday. And instead of having somebody on foot to get forward motion or turning motion with Susie, we're going to have somebody in saddle on Eve. And eventually we'd also love to be able to work Rusty, the whole family in this area. And so for today, we're just wanting to see how Rusty and Eve behave next to each other with a fence in between. So we're just going to watch for a few minutes. And Ryan, who has an arm extension in case he needs, is going to take Eve up a little closer. You can see she's not the least bit concerned. But then again, Rusty isn't being very bullish either. If Susie is in estrus, we see quite different behavior from Rusty. And we have documented that in videos in the past. There, nose to nose. Let's see what happens now if Rusty starts pawing the ground and putting his horns into the dirt. That is a sign of bullish behavior. And it can be interpreted, there you go, there is a ram. He's ramming. Back off a little bit, Ryan, because I don't want him to get his horns caught in the rails. Yeah, that is definitely bullish behavior. So, for today, that's all we're going to do as far as desensitizing Eve to Bull Rusty. And we'll make decisions as we go. Is a bull a good mini Zebu to use for cow work practice? Well, here is Susie, my heifer Susie, with the lariat around her horns. Right behind her, with her darling little fly mask on, is her baby Seela, who's about 7 months old. On the other side of the fence, way over there, past the gazebo, is Bull Rusty. And here we have Firecrest Easter Eve on a lead line. And what we're trying to do is give Eve a chance to interact, or at least see Susie and Seela, because we're going to want Eve to do some cow work, turn back work when we do cow work with our mini cattle. And so we're giving her a chance in as safe a way as we can, safe for everybody, to meet these heifers close on. The other day when we did it with Rusty, he got kind of bullish and she got kind of scared. We didn't want to leave her with that thought. And we've decided we're not going to use Rusty for cow work, at least not this time of year, which is spring and summer, because he's rather hormonal. But we are going to continue to use Susie and her baby Seela. Okay, so here's the safest thing to do. We're going to first walk Susie around Eve, and then walk Eve around Susie. And I have an arm extension. The safest maneuver to use if there is any concern is the hind end disengagement. So why don't you go out into the sun, Brianna? And Ryan can walk Susie around. We're worried both about Susie and about Eve. And of course about little Seela, who doesn't quite understand what cow work is all about with horses. So the first thing we're doing is desensitizing the bovines to the equine. And I'm going to go out there here with my arm extension just in case I see any action. Don't get too close to the hind end, Ryan. Any action with Eve that she's trying to kick, which is her natural reaction if she's worried. Okay, now just let Susie come closer here where there's no fences, and Brianna's going to walk Eve around her. Well, that looked okay. Susie and Seela were, Susie and Evie were a little bit concerned. Susie more than Eve. Uh-oh, and here comes Seela. Here comes Seela. She's curious. Now we're walking Eve around Susie. I'm going to go there with my arm extension in case we're worried. the other direction. Well, I hope you could see all of that. We didn't have a camera operator, but we think we had the camera set right. Not too close to Susie, not too close, because Susie could kick too, although she hasn't, but one time in all of the years I've owned her, shown that she could kick if she wanted to. And that wasn't at a horse, it was actually at Rusty, at a time of year where he was trying to be a lover and she didn't want to be loved. So, okay, that was our desensitization of bovine to equine, and especially an introduction for baby heifer Selah to see a horse close up and not on the other side of the fence.
Now we desensitize Eve while in saddle to working with Susie in a pasture setting, not in an arena. Here are some clips to show you some yet needed skills.
Today I'm on top of Firecrest Easter Eve. We have shown her Susie in many different ways, and we haven't done it in saddle yet, so we're doing that today. And while we're at it, we've got Sammy saddled up with Gina on board. Now here's one thing I'm worried about. We showed you how we do this with Sam. I'm worried that Eve is not as push button on hind end disengagements, in case I get in a position where I feel she might kick little Susie. So I'm just going to practice. I've got a crop in my hand, which I'll just hang from the saddle and have it out of my way. I'm going to practice looking at her hip, giving leg. Whoa. See, I want hind end disengagement, but not forward impulsion. So I'm going to try again. Whoa. We don't have as light a touch with Eve yet. We're going to be working on that this summer. I'm going to look. Lean back. There we go. Whoa. These are prerequisite skills. Whoa. No. One rein stop that we got to work on with Eve. She's got to get lighter with all these lateral movements. Whoa. Okay. There we are, ready to try to turn Susie into the pen. Semi did a really good job of getting Susie into this area. Much better than Eve. Eve needs a lot of lightness work. And I'm just going to try to be here with Eve to close doors. Okay, here goes Susie again. Let's see what Semi says. Gina knows to try to get, yes, to try to get towards Susie's head. If you try to run after a cow, you'll never stop them, of course. Yeah. Good. Okay, running to know what we're in for. What we have to do to practice. At least it's a warm, windless day. And Semi's following, huh, Gina?
Yeah, she's doing it.
She's doing it all. She knows what her job is. I can't say the same for Eve. She doesn't quite understand yet what her job is. So at best, I want to stay out of the way. We don't want to put a lot of pressure on Susie either, because she might go through the fence. Well, here's a summary of the complications. Here's Rusty the bull. We let him stay near. We let him watch. Semi gets a little bit excited when Rusty starts roaring. Rusty started roaring. And Susie was much more energetic than I ever thought she would be, so we lassoed her and brought her closer to the pen here. Eve is not anywhere near as soft as I want her to be, so I know what I'm going to be working with Firecrest Easter Eve. So what we're going to do now is show Eve and Semi what we want them to do with Susie. So Ryan is going to point the camera toward the pen, and with the lasso around Susie's horns, take her in there, and Gina, you follow, not too close, and I will close the door, as if she were loose and wanted to keep the door closed and keep her from getting away. Go to the opening, Gina, and raise your right hand. Whoa, that's it. And I put myself in a position that if Susie came out, she'd likely come out to Semi's left, and I would try, if she were light enough over her haunches, and in lateral motion, I would try to close the door by swinging over the haunches with Eve. And that's the name of the game, a penning mini cattle with my Minmore Farm Morgan horses.
Eve needs cow work practice in an open pasture environment. Thus, we brought out our ATV simulated cow there. Here are some clips.
Now, Eve the other day was not anywhere near as light as she usually is when we work in the arena or in other places on the property, and I realized it's because Eve was perceiving things here in our open pasture where we were working Susie with some fear, right brain, reactive. So we're giving her a chance, and we're going to do this for as long as it takes to look the way she's holding her head up. And she did that to me the other day, even though we had a snaffle in. I'm going to ask her, I'm going to squeeze her in, look over her head, ask for her back. Hold. Good. Up. Good. Good. Now these are exercises that Eve knows. She's just not quite understanding. We've got Susie out here. Let me walk Eve up to Susie. She's going to know that there are going to be cows here. Boo. Back. Boo. Now Eve was relatively light just then. She wasn't afraid. Susie didn't dash around here like she did the other day when we were working Susie with Semi and Eve was supposed to be the turnback horse. Now, Brianna's going to move this ATV as if it were a cow. And she's going to stay here close to the camera where it isn't green, because where it's green, it's wet. And where it's wet, the ATV doesn't get the grab that we need with the tires. So I'm going to move Eve back. I'm going to ask her. I want her to get lighter and see how she lifts her head. Squeezing her in. Hold. As soon as she gives, I give. Back. Back. We're going to get that energetic back. That lateral flexion, that move over the haunches. And notice I do have my spurs on. And Eve knows it. So I will be using my spurs as it becomes necessary when we do cow work, whether it be simulated or by mini cows. Okay, Brianna, now you just go back and forth here where it's dry. Right in front of Eve. That's okay. I don't think she'll be afraid. Back. Good. See that? Haunches work. Good. Woo. Stop. Woo. Okay, now I'm going to ask Eve to follow you as you back up. Open the door with my right leg. Close the door with my left. That was very light. I wasn't getting that kind of response at all from Eve the other day, and that's why I realized that we've got a lot of prerequisite skill repair to do with Eve. With a side pull, we don't need a bit in her mouth. And a Western saddle or any saddle. And the tools of training. Okay, can you back up a little more, Brianna? I'm going to follow you. Sitting on my pockets, go right into the pen. Good. Whoa. Good. Now raise my hand. So Eve knows when the hand is raised, the job is done. Now I'm going to ask her to back up. Let's see if she's going to be lighter. Squeezing, looking over. Open the door on my left, close the door on my right, over the haunches. Woo. And Eve has done very well today for this prerequisite skill analysis, and we'll be showing you all summer long how she gets better and better. And her daughter Sadie, too, who had an abscess, and I have a couple shows about that, but she seems to be okay now. Sadie's back in training as well. So she's going to get some review for cow work, whether it be with simulated cows or the flag that we have set up, 2 flags that we have set up on the property, or with my mini cattle. We'll show you as we progress. Here's a postscript. We want to do a whole lot of riding this summer, and sometimes I'm physically not as able as my mind thinks it should be to do all of these athletic things on my horses, but my passions are as strong as ever. So Brianna's going to help me, and I'm going to teach her how I communicate with my horses, hopefully without using reins, or just starting to use with reins. And then, do you see what Eve is doing with Brianna? Okay, hold, keep your hands down. Okay, now sit on your pockets and ask for a back. Bring your feet out and in. Hold. Till you get the first move that you want.
Back.
As soon as you get ever so slight the right answer, you release the pressure. And we're going to do this one small step at a time. And on RFD, last week I saw a program where one of the ranchers was doing cow work without reins at all. And I don't know if I'll ever get there, but I sure would love to be able to do it.
We plan to use the ATV for pulling our wheeled roping horns around this open pasture area so that our ranch versatile horses can get some more training in being rope horses before we practice ranch roping on our mini Zebu cattle. Our cast of characters: Sadie and Eve, Sammy, Rusty, and Susie. Heifer calf Selah. For more information, www.cowgirlchannel.com.